What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit a million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
O'Reilly. You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge, just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
No music, no intro. I kind of feel like this episode, like Ryan put a gun to my head and just said, "We're recording tonight. You don't have any Friday plans. It's going down tonight." Another episode of #Things Twitter podcast. As always, you can follow Ryan on Twitter at @BoyWolf. So we don't have a lot to discuss because it's a dead period of the NFL right now. However, there's two things that have happened this week. The first happening today, Nick Underhill was the first one to report it, of the Saints signing Ty Montgomery. And then Sean Payton goes on a radio station interview with Jason LaCanfora, I believe. That's probably why I haven't even listened to it, honestly.
Was that LaCanfora?
It was just JLC. That's why I haven't even.
Why would he go on Jason LaCanfora, man?
Out of all shows, I don't know. Our goal is to still get Coach on this pod. We're still trying to put that in motion. That's our white whale. But he basically goes on the podcast and the whole, James Harrison basically said that Mike Tomlin handed him an envelope when he knocked out Massaquoi. So then it got started on the whole Bountygate thing. So Ryan said he needed to get some stuff off his chest. So before we get into all that, I don't know if my man's been having a couple in him tonight. I get it.
You know it. You know it.
However, let's start with the actual football news of the Saints signing Ty Montgomery first. So Nick reported it first. Okay. Like I don't know what to really. I will say I think the perfect description that I saw. I think Kevin Sims on Twitter basically said he's an upgraded Tavoris Cadet, and I couldn't think of a more accurate, on the money description and analogy in terms of.
Yep. I feel the same way. I mean, even when he was at Stanford, I used to think the same thing. I used to watch him because I remember we were kind of looking for like a new Sproles, so I would watch some of him, and I was just like, I mean, he's good, but he would do some direct snap stuff, kind of like Cadet used to do. He would catch passes out the backfield, you line up in the slot, but it just wasn't really much creativity there. He kind of would take what's given to him, played hard. He was, he was competitive, caught everything, but he was very similar to Cadet in that, you're not going to get much dynamic energy. But if you had to play with him, say, God forbid, Kamara was out a week or two, and you needed, kind of like a pass down back to come in and, be on side of Drew Brees, fly out to the flats, or get out to the slot, you'll be fine with Ty Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be Alvin Kamara, but he'll go out there and, he can move the ball. He can get third down, convert third downs, and make those cuts to get over the middle. So, it's a fine sign. I mean, it's May. This is, you sign a guy like that in May, you can't complain. I'm sure the money is negligible at best.
Yeah, you can't complain. I mean, it's so interesting with this offseason and training camp and everything potentially being shortened because, there's a chance he might not be on the 53. If we're just being we're being real. But
55.
55. Sorry. But that being said, at this point in the offseason, it's super low risk. It's additional depth, and potentially with Alvin being healthy, hopefully that can, I can see maybe some personnel where Ty Montgomery is at a running back out in the shotgun, and that allows AK to be lined up as a route receiver, maybe him running deeper routes, things like that. I mean, you could do the same thing with Murray, but with Montgomery, you have another pass catching element in case there's a check down or like a hot read or something like that. Not something that I'll never forget in terms of Ty Montgomery though is I want to say it was 2 seasons ago. It was a barn burner between the Rams and the Packers in LA at the Coliseum, and the Packers defense had held the Rams, I want to say, to a field goal, and it allowed Aaron Rodgers had the plate set, to make this comeback last minute game winning drive. Kickoff, Ty Montgomery catches on the kickoff and he fumbles the ball.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the next week he gets traded to the Ravens.
Yeah, that was under Mike McCarthy. That was when it wasn't starting out well. He just was fed up. Anybody that made a mistake, he was like,
gone. I just remember Rodgers being so hot at time.
Yeah, because that was his little Sproles, that was his little check down guy. And, Rodgers liked him, man. And,
I remember Rodgers being super pissed after that whole thing. And the next week he never played for the Packers again. He was a Raven. So
I don't remember him with the Ravens at all. I don't remember anything.
No one does. Go ahead.
And who was he with last year?
The Jets, maybe?
The Jets? Yeah. I read he had 2.4 yards per carry with the Jets. Now, that just tells me he's going to have 4.6 yards per carry with the Saints, and he's going to be productive.
I can envision Sean having a couple of, maybe a play or two a game carved out just for him.
I mean, is there any way you could juxtapose two coaches like Adam Gase and Sean Payton? Give Sean, look at Kenyon Drake. He just was dying with the Dolphins.
I mean, the list of people that Adam Gase have Space Jam the life sports energy out of them is a long list.
Look at Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is they're talking about it should just cast him to the wind. This guy was a top 5 running back, man.
Let's not forget Devontae Parker. As soon as Adam Gase leaves the situation, players just start to flourish. Just miraculously will just start to flourish. I don't understand how he still has I don't understand how Matt Patricia still have NFL jobs. I mean, I know why, but that's speaking of the topic, can we even talk about the news that Jim Trotter, that the owners are going to have? I don't want to get too much into it because I don't whatever. People can get in my mentions and they'll get blocked real quick. But just the idea of to incentivize an NFL organization franchise to hire more black head coaches and more black GMs that you can improve a team's draft. It's just what. Listen, Doug Whaley Doug Whaley messed the whole game up. Like he ruined everything.
He ruined it.
No 60, 70-year-old black or white NFL owner is going to be like, no, just like, oh, you know what? What Doug did to the Bills, and they're like, nah, we're thank you. We're good. But just that notion, all jokes aside, because I'm trying to make light of a serious problem in the NFL, but just that notion of that even being talked about is absolutely mind-blowing to me.
I mean, you could tell, you know, they don't have a lot of people that is thinking straight in the room, you know. They're just thinking, hey, maybe we just throw some draft picks their way, they'll start hiring them, you know. Like, here, there you go. Take it. Are you happy now? You know? As soon as I read it, I was just immediately like 3 or 4 issues popped into my mind. So, and that's just me. Like, imagine, you know, the unintended consequences and all that stuff, you know. So, I doubt it'll pass anyway.
Oh, there's no way I could see it passing. But even as a black male, I read that and I was like, this is just in so many ways, it's just an awful idea. It doesn't make any sense. Come on, Doug. I think Andrew Berry is he in Cleveland or is he in Minnesota? No, Andrew Berry, he's a GM. I want to say for the Browns, maybe our last hope.
Yeah.
Maybe our last hope. All right, so I'm gonna set the stage, and I'll let you, you know, be the narrator for the whole Bountygate and it being revisited. So we as fans, we're coming off at that. Imagine if now going back in history, like ranking playoff losses, like if you told someone like, hey, you know that San Francisco game you guys lost? It gets worse.
Exactly.
But imagine that summer, because I remember it vividly. I was there at the San Francisco game. I remember that hurt. Like at that point, as a fan base, like we're hurt, we're downtrodden. Like we're just in our feelings about that playoff loss. And then like everything starts coming out. Like there's all this news, and this is right before Twitter became super big. Like it was still there, but nothing like it was today. And I was on Twitter. Yeah. And Bountygate happens and all that. And I remember I've talked to you about it in the past, like, and I've said it even on Twitter, like you almost became an attorney when Bountygate.
Yeah, exactly. I've never studied so hard. I mean, I was reading like literal PDF court documents. You know, I was, you know, trying, you know, I see a word that I didn't understand, I Google it.
This man was reading case law, could have taken the bar. This man was ready to fight the NFL.
It was serious, man. And I remember it vividly because it was March 2nd. It was the day after my birthday. My birthday is March 1st. And I think free agency was starting like a week later. So, you know, we were all on Twitter. I think I had like 100 followers maybe at the time. I just followed, you know, I followed beat writers, sports people, a couple of, you know, Saints fans, you know, just a small, humble little Twitter universe, you know. And I remember because I had just started a new job. Like it was like my second day at the new job. And I'm just sitting, you know how when you're at a new job, you try to stay on your P's and Q's, you know, you're not on the internet, you're just trying to work and just look like a good soldier.
Yes.
And I'm just peeking at my phone because I know it's like, you know, it's close to free agency and stuff is going on. So I'm just kind of taking little peeks at Twitter. And then Schefter just drops a tweet like, Saints are under investigation for having bounties on players since 2010. And you know, they have 50,000 documents proving the case. And they were paying players to injure other players. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, first you're just in shock. You don't know what to think. Like, it's like, wow, 50,000 documents. And man, the league. Then Schefter's just pouring it on. He was like, there's definitely going to be suspensions and draft picks involved. It's going to be bad. I'm like, God.
He was the big boogeyman.
I mean, he's the go-to guy.
Correct.
It's one of the few examples where I've seen where like the media can really dominate and set the narrative and write the whole story before you even know what's really taking place.
Mm-hmm. Without question.
And it's like they set that narrative, and like I guarantee you, like 80% of sports fans out there, that's all they know about Bountygate.
That's it.
That first 1 or 2 days, that's what they saw, and that's the end of the story. Even though it went on for like a whole year of deliberations and arbitrations and all this stuff, all they know is those first huge news drops. And we know the NFL is the master at PR, the master at setting a narrative and controlling the story. It was just crazy, man.
Don't forget, I don't remember how soon after, like maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a month later, the audio
Greg Williams.
The Greg Williams audio drops the game before the San Francisco game, which it was like it was taking the story and then that was already gasoline and then that's just added the match to it. Like, it was out of control.
And what was funny is the NFL didn't even know about that tape when they dropped, when they dropped the Bountygate story. That came once the Bountygate story dropped. The guy that shot that documentary with Steve Gleason and Scott Fujita, they were in the room that time. After he saw the story, he was like, "Oh, I got this, I got this audio," and he contacted the NFL like, "Hey, I got this. What do y'all want to do with it?" You know what I'm saying? I mean, who knows what they paid that guy or if they paid him or whatever. But I mean, that was the dagger right there. I mean, that video, I mean, that audio. Even when you go back and listen to it, I mean, it sounds bad, but you really just, if you know Greg Williams, that's just him, man. Like,
so it's so funny because obviously spoiler alert, wasn't a professional athlete, but I did play football, and it's so hilarious because the audio and how he talks in that tape wasn't super different than how like our coaches would talk to us in like junior high about the opposing team. And like unless you have some type of like maybe athletic or competitive sports background, like that is like if you're just a fan, like a regular, you grew up wherever you're from, became a fan of a team, you never really played a sport, you don't know like what it is to be like in a locker room and to hear how a coach talks to athletes and the players. It is it's not like anything else in this world. And so you like if you're just a regular normal fan listening to that hour, you're like, oh my God, what is that? Like it sounds so terrible. But I heard it and I was like, man, when I played football in junior high school, like that's how coaches would talk to us. Like it sounds extreme, but it's all about the context of it. And that's the thing, is the context of the situation was lost.
And that's what pissed me off because so many media members and they know like these people are around football players 24/7. They know the mentality that these guys operate with. They know it, and they know these things have been going on for decades. Money pots, not just boundaries, but money pots, just because guys just like to have little incentives, and they like betting on stuff. I mean, hey man, I'm gonna throw you 100. You go and you go and put your chest put your shoulder in that QB. I got $100 for you.
Are we not remiss from how, well, Michael Jordan's a different character, but he has like a serious competitive like gambling problem. But athletes love putting money on things. It is in their competitive nature to do so. Period.
Right. But that's like one part of the story because the Saints from the beginning never denied that they had a that there was like a pay for performance, guys exchanging money, for big hits, big plays, stuff like that. They never denied that. But, the NFL made it a point to not delineate the difference between those things. There's a pay for performance. NFL was saying pay to injure. And the NFL made a focus on promoting that pay to injure scheme. That's what they promoted. That's what they tweeted. Saints ran a pay to injure scheme. So every time the NFL would come out and say, hey, Anthony Hargrove admitted that the Saints were running a pay to injure scheme, or Greg Williams admitted the Saints were running a pay to injure scheme. Then you read the actual affidavit that they dropped. Greg Williams is like literally denying we never ran a pay to injure scheme. But what we did have like a pay to performance for big plays and big hits. But it didn't matter to the NFL because, they felt like they could portray that like there was no difference. They wanted to show, because they specifically said pay to injure scheme with the intent to injure and knock out football players. That's what they said. And us as fans, we've literally watched every play of every Saints game all these years. I mean, our defense was they wasn't knocking nobody out. Like they, you know what I'm saying? Like they blitz a lot and they would, but they barely could tackle. They weren't knocking nobody out. They wasn't headhunting and nothing like that, So he was like, where is this coming from? Like, it just blew my mind, man.
What's even going back to that, I don't know if you remember this. I'll never forget it. I want to say it was Reggie Bush's rookie season. I think the Saints played the Ravens that year. I might be wrong. I might have my years wrong. I'm pretty sure it was that year. And I remember the Ravens, the pregame talking as the week of the game, and players talk to the media or whatever. And I'll never forget, like, a Raven player, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, stated that they were going to add a little hot sauce to Reggie Bush's ankle. So and this was like, I want to say 2006, maybe 2007 off the top of my head. I don't know the exact. Like, this goes on.
And also, this happened, but that same thing happened again with Reggie Bush. I think that when he was with the Dolphins and the Jets was playing them, and Rex Ryan was the head coach. I think he was the DC when you were talking about with the Ravens.
Yes.
And they were saying the same thing. We're gonna put a little hot sauce on Reggie Bush, and Reggie Bush was all mad, like, "Oh, they're trying to hunt me down and all that stuff." But, I mean, we know this is the game, man.
Yeah, it is. There are so many. I think the person even to this day, which is weird because Sean Payton has made amends with him now, is Peter King. I've lost ever since completely lost complete respect for Peter King. He's been blocked. He's been blocked since then, and I'll never forget. Like, I think this is before I had ended up blocking him, but he had tweeted something years ago, and I remember I replied to his tweet, and I said, Saints fans still remember like the shit, basically like the shit you talked during Bountygate, and this is after Bountygate and after the Saints were vindicated, and he DMs me and he says, I remember it too. Like, what? Like, what? So I remember Sean Payton was so steamed and so pissed that like there was just a group of people in the media that he just refused to speak to and acknowledge for the longest time. That ice has melted over the years, because when Peter King did the whole article him being embedded with the Saints before we had played the Eagles that year, and then he dropped that article, like, that was shocking to me because I didn't even know that Sean was even talking to Peter King at that point.
And it took years. It took years for them to redevelop that relationship, because if you remember before Bountygate, him and Peter King were tight. Like, that was his go-to national figure. Like before he was cool with Jake Glazer back then, but that like before Mike Florio. Peter King was his go-to guy. He always had kind of the insider Saints nuggets, especially that came directly from Sean Payton. I mean, Sean Payton even guest penned the MMQB column once when Peter King was taking a break. that's how close they were. Like Peter King was like, hey, you go ahead and you write the article for this week. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So when Peter King came and Peter King was coming with it, he was like, I can't believe the Saints did this. We have absolute facts. The NFL, I mean, he was just 100% on it, and Jeff Duncan was like following him. Jeff, I didn't even know how to block anybody on Twitter. Jeff Duncan was the first person I blocked, and he been blocked him. God, bro. I would never unblock that dude, man. He's done with me. His take's already garbage, but like since then, it's like you done, bro.
So it was, and I have my love and hate relationship with Mike Florio, and sometimes he's just so off the wall with some of the stuff he comes up with. Like as example, like he's now like kind of pushing this agenda that like, oh well, potentially like the Seahawks may trade Russell Wilson. Like, Mike, calm down, bro. Like relax. Stop. However, that said, as much as he may be annoying and he makes me roll my eyes from time to time, I will always show him love. And maybe it was him being a former attorney. When this whole thing happened, he was the only person to call the NFL on their BS. And he said, not to, Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. He was like, he dug in. He was basically doing what you were doing as a fan, but he had the platform to spread the message when everyone else was coming out with.
And props to him for that, man, because like we were the only one reading those articles. He would drop an article at like, 1 a.m. at night, just a long, post, just diving into what new evidence, well, so-called evidence that have been leaked, and he, break it down and ask questions that no one else was asking, And I really appreciate him because when it first broke, he was just like Peter King. He was hammering the Saints. He was like, oh, this is a disgrace, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, the lawyer in him, I mean, lawyers naturally ask questions.
100%. Without
question everything. And he just started pointing fingers and pulling strings. It's like, this ain't adding up. And I'm pretty sure, I'd never know for sure, but I'm sure he got a hold of Sean Payton, or Sean Payton got a hold of him. And he got to hear the other side of things that really what happened. And he really, he really went down a rabbit hole after that. And I used to, like, I could still pull up the emails that I sent to him, like just, hey, you missed this point, or hey, here's something this is something else they don't point out. Like I remember when the Mary Jo whatever, she was like a former U.S. attorney.
Yes, yeah,
and then the NFL hired her to be like their their front person for the Bountygate thing, and she literally brought in Adam Schefter, Peter King, Mike Silver, the head honchos of the NFL media, and showed them quote unquote evidence because it was being questioned around that time. So she was like the final nail in the coffin. Look, this is the evidence we have. And they all came out like, whoa, we just seen the legit evidence. There are no questions that this is happening now. But then the NFL was forced to release that evidence, and it was just holes galore. I mean, it was just like, what is this? What is this going on? And one of the parts of evidence was like John Vilma, there was this like spreadsheet, and John Vilma had like 38 head kills against the Giants in 2009. And I'm like, 38 head kills? Like,
is this Call of Duty?
I mean, he should be like the NFL defensive MVP. I mean, you got 38. And I remember the game. I mean, the 2009 Giants game, it was a great game. I don't remember anybody getting knocked out or nothing like that. And then she kind of reversed and said, oh, there was a play where Roman Harper knocked out the running back. And then I actually like went back and looked at the game, and I was like, it never happened. It just never happened. I actually sent that to Florio, and he did make a post about it. He didn't like attribute me or nothing, but he did point out, the fallacy in the claim. And he went back and looked at it too, and there was no evidence of it, you know? So it was just like, you just started to see that this is all BS, man. Like, this is pure BS if I haven't seen it in my life.
It was, and I just remember being, okay, so I remember, like, I think it's different for you because you were in New Orleans, right? You were there, so you're around, like, a community, a city, a state, usually of mostly Saints fans. So imagine me, I'm on the West Coast, diehard Saints fans. So then, like, it was like being attacked, not attacked, but, like, you're, like, you had to always be, like, in, not argument or this mode where you had to defend, I had to defend the team. Now, knowing what I know now, and like, the Adam who was a Saints fan then and the Adam who's a Saints fan now are two completely different people. But it's just, I had to be like, well, you know, had to do like actually, if you look at like, and that was constant because I'm around people who aren't like same minded. So they're like you said earlier, they were going off ESPN, whatever, whatever the media was spinning, and not really digging into what actually went on. Even to this day, to this very day, people love bringing up almost. I mean, I guess I can cuss on a podcast. Whatever. People love freaking bringing up Bountygate to us. Like, it makes us mad. It doesn't. First of all, if you're listening to this and you're not a fan of the Saints, bringing up Bountygate to us doesn't make us mad. If you think it adds a little asterisk to us winning the championship, maybe it does, but we still won, so you can still suck it. Like, it does nothing to us. What upsets us is the reputation that it tarnished for that team, for those players, for those coaches, and even us as fans, because it's like, oh, well, you're a fan of a team that, like, your team injures players. Calm down. No, they didn't. Stop it. So fast forward, so that was 2012, I want to say. Fast forward to, like, we're 8 years later, and Sean Payton is still hot. Like, it's just, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. And so just this notion that James, and I remember that James Harrison hit on Massaquoi. It was, it's nasty. It's a nasty hit. And he comes out on a podcast and says that Mike Tomlin gave him an envelope for the hit. And could you, like, just like Sean was just so, like, dismissive. He's like, the league's not going to look into it. Like nothing's going to happen, because he's right. Nothing is going to happen. And it's just this double standard that the Saints will always, just be the victims of. And it's something that, in terms of reputation, it's, in some type of way, it's always going to be tarnished to the general masses, because that's something that they're always going to bring up no matter what. Even with the facts cleared and the players being vindicated in court legally, it's always going to still come up.
Always. I mean, I even looked at, it was a random just Saints news tweet today, and under it, some random fan was like, Sean Payton, bounties. It's like, man, and it just sucks because, that was such a good team, a classy team, and they will always have to live with that. And it really, a few things bug me. You know what I'm saying? If you know me, I react to very little. I just a lot of little things just roll off my back. I mean, that's just me. Always have been. But man, just really targeting Vilma like that, putting him on the cover of
Sports Illustrated. Sure did.
It just, because he was just, he was like a great leader, man. I don't know if he's a good guy. I don't know him personally, but on the field, he was a great guy and a great leader, and he never played the game dirty. He never played the game like,
ever.
Like, he never played the game like, what's his name?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Old boy from Oakland and was the bingo. I can't even think of his name right now.
Whatever his name. He never played like that. He played the game like you're supposed to play it, and for him to be the target that he supposedly put up $15,000, in court, like he put up like all his bank records. He never, withdrew $15,000 out of his account. That literally was a creation by Mike Cirillo, who literally wrote that supposed script on a napkin and gave it to NFL security, saying, "This is who gave who." Just to show how BS the whole case was. They based that whole case off that little napkin that Mike Cirillo wrote. John Vilma / $15,000 for the NFC Championship. He also wrote that Joe Vitt put up $5,000 or it was $10,000, something like that. Now they didn't accuse when that leaked that little napkin, the copy of that little napkin. People were asking like, well, why isn't Joe Vitt being accused of paying bounties? And then the NFL immediately came out, well, Joe Vitt is not being accused of paying for any bounties. We found no evidence of that. Well, if you found no evidence for Joe Vitt, how did you find it for John Vilma? And if anybody knows Joe Vitt would never put up. Joe Vitt was driving a Saturn, like a little old Saturn.
This man knew what Joe Vitt was driving.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like this man was cheap. He wasn't putting up $5,000 for no bounty, I mean, it was just all BS, man. But it all started, and Sean Payton got to take a little blame because he carried big nuts. So he just does, man.
He still does. Like he
still.
So if we want to get to the best way I kind of said what Bountygate was is the league got word of the whole pay for performance thing. Roger Goodell in the league told, hey, Sean, tell the team to let's put an end to that. It's not cool, blah, blah, blah. Sean's going to be Sean. As and I think as Saints fans, that's him coaching a game, and that's him that's just him. Sean's going to be Sean. So he allows it to continue. He kind of lets Greg Williams does his thing. He doesn't really rein it truly in. And it wasn't about the pay for injury or even the pay for performance. It was just the league and Roger Goodell was mad because, they had to check him. That's what it was. They checked
exactly. You have to look at the whole history. You got Sean Payton. He has Mike Ornstein hanging around the team. Ornstein was sued by the NFL in 2009. He was kind of like a de facto member of the Saints that year. He helped the Saints put up billboards around Miami for the Super Bowl, basically saying, "Hey, we coming" and stuff like that. He was a booster. He was he was just kind of like a little creepy money guy that would hang around. And he was supposedly selling like fake NFL merchandise, and the NFL actually had to sue him for it that year. Sued Mike Ornstein. But he was a hanger-on that was always around the Saints, always around the NFL. Everybody in the league knows him. Everybody deals with him. He's just one of those get things done type of guys, But they didn't like Mike, even though they tried to warn Sean Payton, don't have this guy around. Sean Payton kept this guy around. Then you had the Vicodin-gate, which is kind of just swept under the rug. But it was a black eye. It was a momentary black eye for the league. You had Sean Payton oversleeping for the post-Super Bowl presser. He overslept.
Oh, he pulled a car report?
Yeah. But the car report, NFL had to send security to wake him up. He just always had this kind of F you, I do my own thing mentality. And you had the whole thing about CTE, players trying to get, players suing the NFL, trying to get some kind of compensation for all the, head trauma they've taken over the years. And it just was a perfect storm when Mike Cirillo came to the NFL saying, hey, a disgruntled former Saints, assistant coach saying, hey, I got dirt on the Saints, and it just was a perfect storm.
Oh,
and it all came together.
Roger Goodell, as soon as that he was doing the Birdman hand rub, he was like, "Oh, yeah. Do you? What you got?"
what you got? What you got? And it all came, and it cost Sean Payton a year, man. Like
A year.
people forget, like, that's how crazy you don't see that a head coach getting suspended for a year, you know?
And multiple draft picks.
Multiple draft picks, 2 first-round picks.
Oh.
He couldn't even talk to anyone in the NFL. A guy that has been in the NFL for decades. All his friends are in the NFL. He couldn't, like, that's worse than a quarantine. Like, at least we're at home, but we could talk to we could talk to anybody anytime.
Right.
FaceTime, whatever. He couldn't talk to anyone in the NFL. I'm sure he did on a slick, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, he had to walk on his P's and Q's.
Yeah, and he was coaching Little League. I remember he had reached out to Bill Parcells to be the interim coach for a year. Like, it was
nuts, man.
It was
and Mickey Loomis suspended for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or something like that. Joe Vick suspended for like 6 weeks. So we're starting the season with Aaron Cromer as the Saints head coach. Head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Aaron Cromer. Like, where's Aaron Cromer right now? I don't even know.
I want to say the Bears, but I could be wrong.
He was with the Bears, but I don't know. I remember he got caught up, like, beating up some kid on the beach. He was drunk, something like that.
Right. He pulled the Junior Gillette. and I remember that year. That was the year Drew Brees had broken some record. Who knows? He breaks so many that Sean Payton had to ask permission, eat a hot dog just to be at the game. It was against the Chargers, I want to say.
Yeah, the Unitas record. Record.
And it's just like I don't know why I'm getting a little upset just talking about all of it.
Like, man, like, people don't understand Dawkins, man. Like, Saints fan, we deal with some stuff, man. And it's not like there are teams that dealt with worse. Like, I'm not saying that, if you want to compare. But it's like the stuff we deal with is just like
it's so outlandish. It's so football and sports in itself is like a reality show, but it's like the Saints are like in a special reality show that no other team is in. It's like we could do podcasts about the whole junior. Like they have a uniqueness only to themselves. That's why now it's for us. I feel like just kind of like taking like a step back and just kind of just looking and laughing at everything is just it's a lot healthier. But this team is wild. This team, and just in terms of everything that's happened over the year. We don't have to go. You can just go back as long as Sean's been a coach. Like just this time period has been so crazy, and I didn't listen to the interview. But speaking of Aaron Dirty Laundry, like the whole Delvin Breaux interview that he did. Oh,
Delvin Breaux was hot, man. He was hot.
I'll let you speak because I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I'll let you.
Well, I mean, I doubt it was different than any coach-player relationship in the league. Sean Payton, he's notorious for putting China dolls in the locker of a player, if he's injured.
Correct. Yes.
So, he's from that Parcells. I mean, he's an NFL head coach. I thought it was just the Parcells tree. And all these guys, you kind of tell players that you got to learn how to play with injuries. I mean, it's part of being in the league. You have to learn how to play hurt to a certain extent. Obviously, if you can't play, you can't play. But, if your knee is hurting or your foot is hurting or shoulder or back, you got to just muscle through it. We're going to shoot you up with some stuff and you got to get on out there, Some happy juice. We're going to shoot you up with some happy juice, and you got to get on out there. But, and it was like that I remember reading, I think it was Nick kind of putting it out there that was like, coaches are kind of frustrated with Delvin Breaux's injury and all that stuff.
So it was It was that. Okay, it was that. I don't remember if it was the same day. So first that came out, and then Nick also reported that the Saints were potentially looking to trade him.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget. And then Ian Rappaport retweeted it or co-signed it. And then like that same day, or maybe like the next day, it's like, oh, like this dude got a broken leg.
Bruh. And then they're firing the medical staff. It's like, what? And I mean, imagine Delvin Broder. Like, I really felt this pain in that interview because, I mean, here's a guy who bounced back from a freaking broken neck.
Yeah, man.
Like, bounced back from that, struggled in the CFL to become like a great player there. Amazingly got a chance in the NFL and did a real good job
for his like his city, like his
in his hometown, in his favorite team, and you got the head coach is like you soft, man. You you need to get on, and it's like, damn, like Delvin Bro was just like he was fed up, like he was like calling Coach Hands, like, man, what's up? You gonna talk to me like that? Let's do something, So, I mean, obviously you just can't have a relationship like that. I just hate that it ended like that because, maybe if he could have got healthy, maybe he could have been like a role player or, part of the team. But that was just crazy, man. Like, Sean Payton was stressed. It was like third season of 79. You know what I'm saying? He was just stressed, bro.
Gotta win.
Quarterback's injured.
And that's why this is going on another tangent, but like the whole underratedness of, or the whole, not notion, because I feel like that's giving too much weight to it, but like just that chatter that you hear in Saints Twitter of like, oh, maybe the Saints shouldn't pay Marshawn Lattimore to a big contract. Where have you been for the last 15 years? If that's
where you've been, man. Like, come on now. Like, come on. Even if, say he just stays who he is right now, which is he's a top five-ish corner for, 10, 11, 12 games a season. If he stays like that, it's worth it. It's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Easily.
You make that contract extension and you don't think twice about it.
Don't think twice, man. Like, it's easy. Corner position is tough, so it's hard to find that, and I think, as he gets older, I mean, the guy's like, what, he's 22, 23?
He's still so young.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, once he starts learning how to really be a pro, I mean, he's going to be good, man. So you pay that guy. Pay him, 20 million, 18 million, whatever it's going to be. It is what it is. If you're not going to pay him, you're going to pay
who?
Tremaine Johnson.
Dude.
Josh Norman, Brandon Browner.
It's funny. I was talking about Brandon Browner just recently in this whole little beef with Lions yelling.
Saints, man.
I'm just thinking of just random Saints things. Speaking of like the bro thing, so then they a tweet I'll never forget you sent. They fired the whole doctors, whatever. They hired new doctors. They traded for the long snapper from the Eagles. Dude, it's physical. Dude has like this heart condition where
he's gonna die. He's gonna die.
I'm not laughing at that. But the tweet you said said, "We got new doctors, you bitch."
Like, imagine that. Imagine if we had the old doctors, man. Like, that dude could have died, man.
On the field, like just snapping the football. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Nick Fairley too. Yeah.
Only the Saints. Only the Saints,
man. Like, it drives me crazy. But Bountygate is just one of those things. It's like a burning piece of coal in my body. Like, man, it burns me up, man. So I feel Sean Payton when and I can't wait till I know he's burning. Whenever he retires,
the chopper is
gonna sing, boy. He gonna come out like, this is what really happened. And he said on the interview, that like multiple media people have come to him since, like, hey, I'm sorry for writing all that. You know what I mean? I didn't really understand. I'm sorry for eating the cheese and all that stuff. So I know he's just sitting there like, man, whatever, bro. You know.
He's like he got something for him. He got something for him.
He got something. Bro. I'm surprised. I wanted to kind of like chill, like talking how he is now. I'm like, man, just chill, man. Like, this is what happened in 2018 and the NFC Championship. Like, just chill, bro. Wait, you know.
So we're gonna wrap this one. I feel like we could laugh and talk about the Saints all evening. We're gonna wrap it up. Before we close, though, so Ryan was able to pull the strings. So we have Greg set to come on. We're set to record with him next Thursday. So our goal or our plan is to have a hashtag Saints Twitter pod mailbag. So you can either send your questions to the Saints Twitter email, which is saintstwitterpod@gmail.com, or use the hashtag @SaintsTwitterPod. Get your questions in. We're probably going to try to pick between the best 7 or 8. We don't want to take up too much of Greg's time, but it doesn't have to be specifically Saints related. It could be maybe just in general or whatever in just regards to football. But we want those really just intricate, like, football questions where it gets your mind going, where you're just all into like the minutia of understanding the game, of game planning and football. It could be player related, it could be plays related, scheme related, whatever questions you have, get them in, and then me and Ryder are going to compile them and pick the best one.
Yeah, man, we want y'all to come with the heat. Like, ask what's the difference between a cover 3, a cover 3 and a cover 2 and a cover 0 and a cover 1. Come with stuff that that's really going to educate the fans. Stuff that's really been, what is an RPO? How does an RPO work? How do you defend an RPO? All the little things that us football nerds, things we think about that somebody like Greg Cosell that could come with and really explain really well. He's a really good teacher. So just send us the questions. Yeah.
And then just think about like the opportunity. Like you have the chance to ask Greg Cosell a football question, and Greg Cosell, like he is, I mean, that last 5 minutes when he was on the show, like I still think about it and start fanning myself off a little bit. And so
keep going, Free.
The beat is hot right now. Keep going, Greg. You have a chance that you might not, that doesn't come up super often, and this is your chance to really ask and for him to to come on and answer the questions, and then to support our cause. So this is just me being completely random, but to support our cause of trying to get Sean Payton on the show. If you listen to the pod, I want you to send Sean Payton a tweet and just say, Coach, do the hashtag Saints Twitter pod. Just get the movement going. Like maybe at some point, we know he's on Twitter. He has nothing better to do. He's super happy Twitter fingers now. He'll see it, and maybe he sees it enough times. He's like, you know what? Maybe I gotta go talk to those dudes. Maybe I gotta talk to the fans.
It's the white whale.
Yeah, get them. It's gonna happen somehow, some way. We're gonna get them. So with that, we're gonna get out of here. Follow Ryan on Twitter @ThatBoyWolf. Don't follow me on Twitter. You're probably blocked anyway. Next week we'll be back with another episode. We're out.
Peace.
O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.